Yeah, good morning to everybody who's joined us from outstation and online. Uh, Today, we are fortunate to have Dr. Samir Bhattacharya, who's Associated Fellow specializes on Africa with ORF Foundation. And he's here to talk to us on something which is very new and something that has become very important for particularly the defense industry and Uh, what immediately affects us are the batteries, that is the rare earth minerals. And he'll be talking to us as to how Africa has gained importance when it comes to rare earth minerals and where do we stand as far as our engagement with Africa is concerned. I'll request Vaibhavi to introduce the speaker.
Dr. Samir Bhattacharya is an associate fellow at Observer Research Foundation, where he works on geopolitics with particular reference to Africa and the changing global order. Before joining ORF, he served as a senior research associate at the Vivekananda International Foundation. He's particularly interested in Africa's security landscape, the involvement of different external actors, particularly China, and Africa's engagement in multilateral frameworks. Dr. Bhattacharya has worked and traveled extensively across Africa and regularly writes for various national and international journals and newspapers.
Thank you.
Yeah, over to you.
Thank you, sir. First of all, it's an honor to be in the CENJOWS. As I said, it is my first time to be at CENJOWS, and I have given the opportunity to speak on something which is very close to my heart. It's something which is very close to my heart because it is also very critical to our national interest. Critical mineral is also critical to our national interest, and the way the global competition is going on, the geopolitical volatilities are going on. I think we should be more proactive. We should try to understand what is going on in the world, and I will try to present my point of view in briefly, and then I would welcome I would welcome it to be interactive mode so that you can ask questions and we can discuss. So the topic is very interesting. It says minerals, markets, and militaries. So how these three things are linked to Africa's critical raw materials, and not only that, how this is uh, impacting our own security calculus. So uh, this no.
This one. Just check that remote. Yeah.
Okay. So now uh, critical minerals in Africa. Now, because of this critical minerals, Africa has taken a very huge strategic importance. As you rightly said, very beginning, that critical minerals is very important for batteries. The whole world wants to change. Energy transition is going on. We are going for clean energy, and that clean energy will come from uh, to get clean energy, you need critical minerals, right? So it is also important for aerospace, it is important for electronics, and all these critical minerals, most of it is found in Africa. So, for example, cobalt, world's 90% of cobalt is found in Democratic Republic of Congo. And if you check who is the biggest producer of cobalt, it will show you China. How? Because China is extracting all the cobalt from Africa, from Democratic Republic of Congo, and they are processing it. So all the Africa has remained like a raw material supplier, and all the value addition, all the job creation, and also the use of critical minerals in their industry. These are done by the developed countries, and those developed countries are also, most of these developed countries, they are also dependent on China, because China is the processing capital of the world on critical minerals. You see lithium, for example, in Zimbabwe, Mali, and also in South Africa. These are the countries where you find a lot of lithium. Lithium is very important for nuclear energy. India wants to develop. I mean, we are still slow in this, but we want to become a use of civilian nuclear. So we need these things, rare earth materials, graphite, nickel. without these rare earth materials, we can't do industrial transformation. We can't succeed in fourth industrial revolution, right? And for that, Africa's involvement, so as of now, it is still at the extraction level. Why? It requires financing, which no other country is ready to finance in Africa. Lot of conflict, this and that. Then Africa needs technical capacity. Their people require the training. Then the infrastructure. Like if you want to process critical minerals, you need 24 hours electricity. How many African countries, and in those countries, how many cities have 24/7 electricity guarantee, including South Africa? So you can't, if India wants to build a manufacturing base in Africa, we need first to ensure that there is a sustainable, uninterrupted energy supply, electricity, which is not there, and also there is insufficient regional collaboration. So, for example, one country is rich in mineral resources, the other country, nearby country, they are probably good in technology. Say the example of Zimbabwe and South Africa. Why can't Zimbabwe export it to South Africa and together they jointly build it? That will also, in economics, we read about economy of scale. That can be used as economy of scale, but it's not happening. So as I said, that in critical minerals in Africa, it can propel African growth. It can bring a lot of investments in Africa. When you add value in the processing, then in refining and other things, you create a lot of jobs and you create a lot of economy, richness in your own country instead of sending it abroad. And also it can create a lot of help in creating a lot of international partnerships. So for example, India and African countries can work together on critical minerals, but it will not be limited to critical minerals, right? We will expand other areas of cooperation. Now, what are the challenges? One challenge is that the conflict issue, the electricity issue, I said. Then there is this governance and transparency. Many, not really India, but many European countries, Japan, for example, they are scared of investing in Africa because they find it very difficult to work. Like what they are doing, we don't know. The rules do not match. So these are the issues, challenges that they have. I talked about infrastructure gap and also the environment concern, social concern, like for example, we would a developed country will not want kids to work on the mines, but maybe there are kids who are working in the mines, or women who are working in a very dangerous, without proper protection, they are working, which is very bad. So these are the issues that foreign countries, developed countries are not interested to invest in Africa. Now, the second part after mineral is the market. Now, Africa is also, for India and for other countries, it is a very big market. Today, Africa's population is almost 1.5 billion, and it is world's youngest continent. Their median age is less than 20. So the whole continent, the median age is less than 20. So when US, Japan, Europe, all countries are aging, imagine 20 years later, 30 years later, even India will age. These are the people who will be like in their 30s, in their 40s. These are the people who will work, who will carry the growth of the world. So we need to be very proactive from now. Otherwise, the bus will leave. Second is the rapid urbanization. African countries now, they are also growing, and they also want to urbanize first. So the development process that European countries followed. For example, they say in telecommunication, they had first landline telephone and then mobile. In India, many people in India never saw a landline in their home. They jumped to mobile. So this is like leapfrogging. And African countries also, they want to develop fast. They want to develop sustainably, but they also want to develop fast. And when they want to develop, these young people who have access to internet, digital, they know what is going on around the world. They are not blind. They are not living under a will. So they want development. And I think I think this represent a lot of opportunity for Indian companies. Now, also, so far, if you go to Africa, because I travel extensively to Africa, I see that in India, what the good part of India is a thriving middle class. You can see that you can, at say, at 500 rupees, you can get a room at and 50,000 rupees, you can get a room. And there is a lot of balance in between. But in Africa, there is no middle class. The absence of middle class is very troubling. Either they're living in those shanty towns like slums, or they're living in a. If you go to some of these countries, say the capital Congo is very poor country, but you go to Kinshasa, the buildings that I saw, we don't have anything like that in whole of India. You go to Luanda in Angola. My God, so developed, so developed. India is far, far, far behind in development, but it's just one part of the city, and the rest of the country is like you don't even most of the time you don't even have roads to. I'll tell you a funny anecdote. So in Congo, I have lived 6 months in Congo. So Congo's capital is Kinshasa, and second largest city is Kisangani. To go to from Congo, I mean Kinshasa to Kisangani, you don't have roads. You don't have roads. There are no roads. British or colonial powers, they never created internal roads. You have to use flight. Now the flight, there is no direct flight from Kinshasa to Kisangani. You know what you have to do? You have to travel to either Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and then come. Or most of the times that is expensive. Most of the times they travel via Paris. So to go to one city, from one city to another city inside a country, they have to go first to Paris and then go to their country. So it's like if you want to go from Delhi to Mumbai, you have to travel via Dubai. It's that level of disconnectedness in the country. So now, how can the country develop? All the resources are limited in the mineral-rich region, and those regions are connected probably to the capital or probably to the ports. So it's like pit to ports. That is what British, I mean, colonial model was. Now countries like India, what we should do is we should try to help African countries to change this pit to port model and go for more sustainable way, more value addition in the country. So they already have a strong potential in manufacturing, in energy, agribusiness, in energy and digital economy. All we need is to explore that. And Africa is also, we know when we talk about a big market, we think about European Union. That's the biggest union in the world, right? No, the biggest union is African Continental Free Trade Area. That connects all 54 countries. So the because of the economic size of economy of Africa, it looks small, but it is in going forward. I mean, population-wise, it is much, much bigger than European Union. And when African Free Trade, Continental Free Trade Area will be in proper action, I mean, it represents huge opportunity for all the countries. Now it has the potential to boost because Africa mostly trade with foreign countries, mostly with their ex-colonial powers. So those who are English British colony, they do commerce with British. Those who are French colony, they do work France. Nowadays China is very active because of its own initiative, and also Russia is also getting very active. I don't know how much you follow this continent, but Russia is also trying to enter very big. And there are many other emerging players, whether it's Saudi Arabia, whether it's UAE, whether it's Turkey. Everybody has their own advantage. They are trying to enter this I would not say dark continent, but I would say that unexplored continent, because people are not very like, okay, Africa, we have other priorities. We have, for example, Japan has always thought, okay, we need to first secure our neighborhood, immediate neighborhood, the Southeast Asia, East Asia, Southeast Asia. Africa is very far, but now Japan is also getting active. They in TICAD 9, they have also uh, announced their plans that they want to also go big. Uh, Now, how these minerals and markets are connected is that because Africa is exporting just the raw materials, whenever there is a, and so all African economies are dependent on this mineral export. Now, if there is a, say tomorrow there is less demand of graphite in China, China will stop buying graphite raw material from Africa, and then their economy will collapse. And that happened again and again in many countries because the biggest problem, they don't add value. If you are just say, and this can happen. This can happen with any country, including India. If we don't add value in our country, that is why the Prime Minister Modi is so much emphasizing on Atmanirbhar Bharat, because we can't just send our raw materials like in Kerala we have so much coconut, and we are buying coconut creams from Indonesia or from Thailand. Why? Because we don't we used to buy tomato puree also from we used to import tomato puree while our tomato is getting wasted. So this global demand for energy transition or global demand for materials is making African economics very volatile. And today, in last 2 3 years, there were many protests in many different African countries, be it Kenya, be it in Madagascar. The government was changed because of protest. You remember what happened in 2010 in Egypt, what we all know as Arab Spring, because of the economic difficulties, because of the unemployment, because of the corruption in the government, people protested. Who are those people? Most of the people are young people. They are, and now these protests are rightfully called Gen Z protests. These Gen Z are they are the impatient generation. They don't want to, okay, chalta hai, we will wait and see if things happen. No, they want the result now. So there are a lot of protests, and all these protests, if you see, some way or other connected to minerals, because you don't have the school. I mean, some countries buying your minerals, they are paying, and then you are paying the schools, you are paying the hospitals. If you are not, the countries are not buying, the government. Many countries, they don't even. South Sudan, it's the newest country in the African continent. South Sudan, many of their embassies are getting closed because they can't pay their employees. There are countries in the South Sudan embassy in many countries where they could not pay. Suppose they rented a room for their embassy and they could not pay the rent, and local countries going to court against the country itself, that these people have not paid us for the rent. And South Sudan you can't, I mean, you have to blame them, but you can't blame them because their economy is dependent on resource extraction and selling it. And if they cannot sell it, so that's the biggest challenge that African countries are facing. And also this because of this limited local processing capacity, you are not creating jobs also. As I said, Africa is today their population is 1.5 billion. By 2050, uh, almost 50% of the world population will be in Africa. Where will you create those? What will you do? If they don't get work, what will they do? There will be, the whole continent will collapse. Can we afford that, a continent collapsing? And I mean, forget India. I mean, can international community really afford that? That is a big question. Now, why it gets stuck. Uh,
Yeah.
Now, you spoke about the security issues. So these critical minerals like uranium, cobalt, lithium, gold, these are also very important for military hardware. So militaries also require, I mean, how this everything is interconnected. This Without these raw materials, militaries cannot prepare, build, manufacture their weapons. So they require these critical minerals. Now, because of these critical minerals, People are so many countries. I just said that so many countries are getting interested. New countries, Turkey, Saudi, some people are even calling it the new scramble for Africa. It's the scramble for African minerals because they want to take those minerals and they want to build probably their defense manufacturing industry. So, uh, and then in these countries, African countries also, because these minerals are the only thing that are bringing them money. Many times, what the government is doing, they are sending their militaries to protect those mines. These militaries, their role is not just protect those mines. Their role is to keep the country stable. Now, in Congo, for example, all the militaries are either in the capital or in the mines. So obviously, the state government lacks control in in the whole country. Many countries in Africa, when you see that there is a conflict, what you know that the country has a conflict. What you don't know is that the conflict is the capital is mostly safe and the mining is mostly safe unless sometimes these militia groups they also capture those mines because by selling those this critical minerals or be it gold, be it diamond, you also know this as a conflict minerals. There are movies on based on this topic. So apart from that, the military is very much focused on keeping capital safe or the mine safe. So obviously the country is in a mess. The internal sovereignty, there is a sovereignty. The sovereignty issue is internal and outside. Our other countries accept that India is a sovereign country, but all these states they also follow our central government. So we are internally sovereign and also externally sovereign. Now come to African countries, say Somalia. We all know there is a country called Somalia. It's externally it's sovereign, but different regions they don't accept mandates of their country's government. So it's not internally sovereign. In Sudan, the civil war is going on. In South Sudan, civil war is going on. In Ethiopia, in many countries there are civil war. Or what is the problem? Problem is the government's mandates are not followed by different regions. So that's and this weak governance, one big reason, as you can, if you think of it, minerals is somewhere responsible. So Europeans, they are very good at, I mean, theorizing these things. No, so they come up with a very nice term. It's called resource curse. So mineral-rich countries, those which are supposed to be the richest countries in the world, they are the poorest country. So they are calling it as a nice theory, resource curse. If you are rich, if you are resource rich, then you will be poor. Who is keeping them poor? That is a question that we should dwell. Uh, and I told that many of these insurgencies, militias, they actually their funding is also coming from these minerals. Now, for XYZ country, whichever foreign country, if those foreign countries stop buying minerals from these militias, the war stops then and there. But there must be some support from outside so that these militias are continuing. So I mean, if you read the literature, I said resource curse, there is also something called war economy. War economy is what? That the moment war stops, these foreign countries will grow poor because they are now, because of this conflict, they are buying minerals very cheaply. So, it's a very big nexus. Now, external powers link this security cooperation with access to mineral-rich regions. So, for example, Russia. What Russia did, not Russian government, many African countries, they have problem of security. There is a private security firm. It was called Wagner before. Now it's Africa Corps. So Africa Corps goes there, Wagner goes there, and they say, look, you can't pay us. It's okay. No problem. We don't need payment, but you have this gold mine and you want to secure that gold mine. You don't have, your military cannot secure. No problem. We'll secure it. What do we want? You can't pay us. What do we want? We want some gold from it. In Central African Republic, the same model, and it's in because of the conflict between West and Russia. Generally, when you read the literature, you see that Russia is the only culprit. but almost every country, including China, has its own private military group. Turkey has its own private military group. USA was the first one to introduce private military group in Africa. Blackwell, it was named Blackwell. So these foreign militaries are like security for minerals. This is a very developed model going on in Africa. Then uh, their this military training missions, what they do is, for example, France wanted to ensure that minerals in that Mali, so Niger is a country which is a very rich in uranium. 70% of France's electricity comes from
Atomic power.
atomic power. This who is who is supplying that uranium to France? It was Niger which was supplying. Now, I mean, 2 years, 3 years. I mean, in 2013 it started Operation Barkhane, first Operation Serval, then Operation Barkhane. French president tried to, we will remove the insurgencies, will make the country terrorist free. 10 years later, nothing changed. The terrorists, in fact, many reports claim that those fighters killed more civilians than the terrorists killed. So they left the country. Now this countries, Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, they went out of African. They are part of African Union, although suspended. They formed their new economic group. It's called Alliance of African States, and Russia is supporting that group. And Russia is saying again the same thing. We will support you with your security, but give us the minerals. So these are the and things which are going on, and some of these militaries, because some of the countries where you have heard about many African countries which are coup prone. Many times military leaders are taking power because of the problem of check and balance, because many of the times the civil government are so corrupt and so reluctant to lead to the next generation, or somebody, they're like, it's like, I have spoken to African people. They say that becoming Africa, getting in power in Africa, it is like riding a lion. So you are very safe and very powerful when you are riding. The moment you come down, the lion itself will kill you. So they don't want to lead power. That's the problem. In fortunately, look at India. It's no matter what happens, our political parties, oppositions always accept it with humility. And in Africa, most of the countries, when there is no way to change the government, military steps in, and there are support for military junta governments in those countries now. But in Hindi we have a proverb, Lanka mein jo jate hai, wahi Ravan ban jate hai. So once these militaries who come to power, saying that we'll clean the system, we'll reform, once they're in power, they also become the same thing. And many countries, they have formed these military elites, and their power is very, very concentrated thanks to these minerals. So minerals which should make these African countries rich, these minerals are actually keeping these countries poor and insecure. Now we'll come to India, Africa. So we still have 10-15 minutes, right?
10 minutes.
10 minutes time. So I will say India and Africa, we are there. Actually, we are there. We are there much before other people. Our Indian indentured laborers went to Africa even before the, colonial power. British took our indentured laborers in Mauritius, in South Africa. This formed diaspora. But even before colonial powers, Indian businessmen from Gujarat, Kerala, they used to use those tonga and small boats and go to African countries, Mozambique, Tanzania, and used to even today. You go to African countries in the coastal belt, you will see surnames like Dukanwala, Tangawala. These are the people who went there, and they are living. Actually, they are in those countries before colonial powers. Vasco da Gama, sailed. Indians actually sailed in those countries. So India's presence is there. But look where India is. Do you know if India has an Africa policy? What is India's Africa policy? India does not even have an Africa policy. We have something in 2018, Prime Minister Modi went to Uganda. He gave a lecture in the parliament, Ugandan parliament. There was a 10-point agenda. Like these are the 10 points, very, how do you say, very broad. It's not specific, very broad that, we should work on sustainability, we should work on defense. These are the 10 areas. And now, if somebody asks me what is India's Africa policy, I would say read that document. So that's as best as it gets for our defense, our Africa policy. How so far India's engagement with Africa is focused on. We are the one good thing about India is we have kept our engagement with Africa norm-based, value-based. So we are not into those extractive models. We provide them line of credit (LOC) from by Export Import Bank, and that is the biggest connection between India and Africa. We also provide a lot of capacity building training through ITEC and different scholarships. In security, we don't send our private military, at least not yet, even though there are demands that if Indian companies are investing there, who will protect Indian investments? African government is not able to protect them. Then should an Indian company, say Tata, investing a huge a fertilizer factory, if there is a problem, if there is a, for example, in Nigeria, there is a problem of kidnapping. So tomorrow, some Boko Haram people come in Indian factory and kidnaps 2, 3 Indians managers. Then Indian government is at a toss. Who will fund? Who will take responsibility of those security? So should India have also? These are the questions that are getting that are cropping very. I mean, emerging very much. But so far, India is not into that. So far, India's engagement in security in Africa is through UNPKO. Our force is probably second or third largest contributor to UNPKO in Africa. I spoke about Congo. Congo's in Indian UNPKO. Congo was highest Indian soldiers. In Liberia, that was the first UNPKO mission in the history of UN, where the whole mission, one batch was totally women. There was no men in that. It has never happened before. So these are the good things. India also give lot of trainings, counterinsurgency, especially now that maritime connection is coming up. India's Sagar Vision, Mahasagar Vision, we are giving them a lot of training. Our patrol boats are going there for patrolling. So these are very, how do you say, very norm-based, very, it's not encroaching. Then our trade is in 2023, it was close to 100 billion. Today also it is close to 100 billion. And I think 10 years, I mean, 5 years ago also it was close to 100 billion. Every time you hear our ministers, they will say, we want to double it by 2030. But I don't see the possibility of doubling it, forget 2030, even 2040, because most of our trade is focused on, India buys a lot of oil from Nigeria. India buys, and then India refines it here. Now, and African countries, they buy manufactured products from India. Unless, as I said about those critical minerals, unless we create values there and then we start importing or export, our business commerce will remain this low only. And in fact, last year it went down because India started importing a lot of Russian oil. So India is not buying oil from Nigeria, and actually the trade value actually went down. Then India has something institutionalized cooperation with Africa, which is India-Africa Forum Summit. China started FOCAC from 2010. In 2019, when there was the high COVID, China did it virtually, the FOCAC meeting. They never stopped. Russia's introduced Russia-Africa Summit in 2019, and they did 2 summits already. South Korea, many other countries have started doing it. India's started in 2008. The second one was in 2011, 3 years later. Then we decided, no, not 3 years, 4 years. In 2015, we did. Last one was in 2015. 11 years has passed. We have not done a single India Africa Forum Summit since then. So if you say that we are serious about Africa, we are serious about cooperation, and this is how you are reacting, I think these are creating the problem between the difference between words, what you are saying, and action, and that difference creates trust issues in African. When I travel or when Africans travel, many times they ask the same question: why you are not doing it? We don't have answer. COVID is gone long ago, and we are doing. Last year we organized G20. During G20, we helped African Union to become member of G20. We are doing BRICS this year. We are doing our AI Impact Summit. We'll be chairing IORA next year. We'll do next year or towards the end of this year. We'll do IORA. We can do so many events. Global South, Voice of Global South. We cannot do an Indian Africa Summit. That means either it's not priority or something is missing. Ironically, India is so while Africa's importance is rising in the among all the countries, somehow India is lagging. India is not trying to leverage. Ironically, still India retains a very important soft power. If you go to Africa, you talk to these people, they will say that we don't want China, we want India. They say that on your face, but India is not there. The presence, Indian presence is not there. I can't ensure the presence. And India's model is also very hybrid model. So for example, China is very sure. It's like very clear. It's state centric. State will say the companies you go, companies will go. Companies don't go on their own. State will say very clear. US, they are companies. If Elon Musk sees profit in Africa, he will go. If he does not see profit, he will not go. It's a company oriented. India, we are not sure. Can Indian government tell the companies to go? No. And can company go without Indian government support? No. So we are stuck in a like a vicious cycle where it's not developing. Now, I just very briefly I'll mention that because it's a India strategic calculus, so our number one arch nemesis is China, and China, in a very brief, China has this year, every year, the Chinese foreign minister, he starts his foreign visit every year for last 35 years. This was the 36th time they visit African countries. This year also, Wang Wei visited Africa as the first, January itself. And he visited this time Ethiopia, Somalia, Tanzania, and Lesotho. If you see, all four countries are mineral rich, all four countries, particularly Tanzania, because US announced Lobito Corridor, Japan announced Nakala Corridor. Now China is saying that we have Tazara Railway. We will develop, it's already existing, we'll refurbish it and we'll help you. So the competition is very high. Wang Wei, he visited African Union, and where there, in his speech, he presented 5-point agenda. How China is going to work with Africa. You see the number 2, consolidating critical mineral supply chain. So minerals is very, very focused. China is very focused. China knows what it wants. Unless India cannot, if you ask me, how can India compete with China? India needs to, first of all, we need to focus what we want. Unless we do that, we can never compete with China. A lot of things China has announced this year in that they will do, they're trying to promote a lot of soft power. So I'll just conclude. So it's not, all is not lost. Indian PM, Modi ji, in his first term, 2014 to 19, he visited a lot of African countries. There were more than 10 foreign visits, African visits by Prime Minister, our President, Foreign Minister, but it got slowed down in his second term. Now in third term, somehow he's recovered. It's coming back. In December and January, he visited South Africa for G20 and he visited Ethiopia. In Ethiopia, you see, in Ethiopia, when Modi went in December, he was awarded the highest civilian honor, Great Honor Nishan of Ethiopia. It is not one guy who is shouting for, give me Nobel Prize. Modi ji did not, our Prime Minister did not have to shout that, give me a prize. It was given. China, next month, China went. There was one week, reception was very nominal compared to India. So these are the things we should leverage. Third is BRICS connection. India is hosting BRICS this year. There is not South Africa. We have Egypt and Ethiopia also member of BRICS. So can we, and BRICS is going to expand today or tomorrow. So can India leverage this year our BRICS presidency? Can we take those which are our friendly country, particularly from Africa? Can we include them like Uganda, like Tanzania, like Nigeria, and claim that we included you? So that is creating soft power. Then, but so finally, what India needs is a mix of norm, but just not norm. It requires some pragmatism also. What we should analyze what we want, and we should mix it together. We should there should be stronger coordination among the different governments. So India wants to bring minerals, and it is only MEA. MEA is foreign relation. MEA does not know what minerals India require for our safety. Steel Ministry should also collaborate with the MEA, or say agriculture. India wants to develop agriculture partnership. It's MEA is going or agriculture minister is going. Why we need institutional convergence to work in Africa, I think. And finally, because the topic is minerals, how it impacts India's security calculus, I think if I have to sum it up, I think India has a lot of potential. India has a lot of soft power. India does not non-interfere. India never interfered. India is not a colonial power. What India needs to do is India needs to help Africa to move up the critical mineral value chain. That way, India will win the minerals. India will win African trust, and India will help African countries to govern themselves better. I think I end here and I'll take questions